Hi, my name is Nderi and I'm a photographer from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm a portrait photographer, and what that means is that I like to tell stories with pictures. My day-to-day work involves around storytelling, from people that I meet on the street to my personal projects and exhibitions to even the commercial work that I do. So in every way there's that aspect of telling a story with every photo that I take, and pretty much showing the world like my vision and what I want to say, because I believe as artists, an important thing that you always need to remember is that you're kind of like a reflection to society with your work. So in everything that you do, you kind of like are telling a story. The first hint I got was when I was in university in Malaysia. A friend of mine who used to shoot music concerts tagged me along for one of his shoots. I had just bought a camera, which for me it was just like, we're just using it for this particular school assignment and that's it. But then when we actually got to this music concert and started taking pictures, things kind of changed. I found myself getting really interested in the subject matter, which was these local bands. There's a very strong like heavy metal and rock following in Malaysia. These guys had these really interesting outfits, very shiny and intricate, and I've got the makeup and all that stuff going on. I found myself really interested in taking pictures of that, and especially like the facial expressions when they're playing the instruments, like when the guitarist is doing his solo or the drummer. I found myself wanting to do it more and more and more, and me and this particular friend of mine, that was our thing. We were even lucky enough to get paid sometimes. I studied advertising and visual communication, so after I graduated and I got my first job, the photography thing was really like still on my mind. So what and I just got a desk job, and like my mind was going numb. I was working at this booking site company in Kenya called Eat Out, and they had like a need for photos of restaurants. Their website was just launching, and the website was really designed really well, and they had everything else they needed apart from the photos of the restaurants and the food. So they're like, do you want to go out and do this? And that was the day that things changed. When I went out for the first time and got photos of this restaurant and the food, and for some reason they were really impressed, and I was actually kind of happy, and I knew that working at this 9 to 5 was no longer for me. There's no such thing. Every day is different, but I'd say there's certain things that are kind of like consistent. If I'm working on a initiated project, a client is not paying me to do this specific job, I'm gonna be doing a lot of research into the project, why it's important to me, why I need to be talking about it. Yeah, my day usually starts around 7 o'clock, replying emails, from the previous day, or responding to clients. I'll be doing that pretty much until midday, if I don't already have a shoot to be heading to. A lot of editing work, yeah, that usually can take up the whole day, doing that kind of thing. Probably by around 5, or I'll be done for the day, and probably hit the gym. One week, this week probably won't look like what I did last week. In that sense, I wouldn't say it's like a repetitive thing, which is what makes things interesting at the end of the day. You never know what's gonna be coming up next. Like about 2 weeks ago, I was on a flower farm, documenting the work of this lady who's been growing roses in her family, for the past 50 odd years, So there's no way like you can tell what's going to happen, which is really interesting, you know. A lot of what makes my work interesting is, it's the process, it's the journey. There's always the interesting aspect of getting to know a lot about your subject matter. Just for them to allow you to be in that space when all of this is happening it's a real joy. With the project I'm working on now, a big challenge is it's a project on musicians. So a lot of the challenge is coordinating and the logistic side of it. But it's all worth it in the end when you look at, you know, the kind of shots that we get, and all of it kind of just like melts away. Nothing that is, you know, worthwhile, you know, kind of just comes easy like that, you know. The best thing about my job probably would be the fact that I get to dictate what kind of work I want to do, the subject matter, how, when, why I want to do it. If you want to get really, really good at shooting people, spend a lot of time understanding people, you know, the psychological aspect. I think I heard this somewhere that being a portrait photographer is being and you know, documentary as well, I think, is you're 90% a psychologist and 10% photographer. Spend a lot of time around your subject matter. If you want to do street photos, spend a lot of time in the street. You'll get to know what exactly, you know, you want to shoot with time. Be patient. Learn how to find your own voice. In that sense, you'll get to learn what your style is and what exactly you have to bring to the table. The best place to see my work is on my website, which is louisnderi.com. Instagram, you know, find me on the gram. You find me on the gram, find me on my website. That'd be the best place to see my work. louisnderi.com, at louisnderi on Instagram, on Facebook.